Hello, and welcome to a chat on Unlock Key Account Growth in a Digital World. I'm Milind Katti, co-founder at DemandFarm. Technology is disrupting account planning and strategic account management. At DemandFarm, we've been at the forefront of building the software tools for key account management. And we've already worked with more than 100 companies to that pursuit. Today, I have two business leaders. These leaders are the early adopters in using digital tools for account management. I'm excited to discuss their journey and how did that go. The first guest I have today is Anand, a senior manager of analytics and strategy at Zebra Technologies. He's an experienced technology leader who enables solutions that drive productivity and automation for sales. Anand is responsible for sales and channel systems, global processes, and technology vision. So at Zebra, Anand has taken special interest to include machine learning, AI, and analytics to bring data and technology together so that to arrive at the next best moves for these sales people. My second guest today is Isaac. He's a VP of Sales Enablement and Chief of Staff at TaskUs. In his own words, Isaac says he has a strong propensity to follow the money trail. This has enabled him to hone his skills around business development and revenue generation. At TaskUs, he cares deeply about the overall business and looks for ways to add value, reduce costs, and streamline sales operations for newer as well as existing revenue streams. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here today. So let me begin with Anand. So Anand, for 20 years, you've been working in sales operations, and I'm sure you've seen the whole thing, right? From the function and technologies evolving towards making better sales organizations. Take us through that, and then what have you seen?
Thanks, Milind. I joined Symbol Technologies 20 years ago, which eventually morphed into Zebra Technologies. And when I first started, it was kind of an evolution going on at the time. It was very focused around developing web-based applications and really looking at how we get information or collect information and data from our sales organizations. I think over the 20 years, I've seen a progression from moving away from laptops to tablets and now to phones. Everybody has a phone. You can't live without it. You put it down for 10 minutes, you're like, where's my phone gone? And what I've seen for that is by giving people greater autonomy, greater access to systems, we're actually capturing more and more data that we didn't realize is important. We now know a lot more about people, their behaviors, their patterns, what they're into, and how they like to make their purchasing decisions. And when you collate all that together, what I see now and what the industry sees is it's not about it's about taking that data and being able to use that in the technology available. So what we've seen is really we're able to kind of determine what people are going to do next and kind of predict our next best steps, but also start to tailor programs, tailor sales organizations, sales teams, and even some of the promotions to target what those people want. So it's really changed from being technology focused to really data focused. And machine learning and AI is a big part of that now.
Yeah.
And then just to add on to that, you think about last 10 years, there's been a growth of SaaS and PaaS, and obviously customers' needs have changed. You go back 20, 30 years, Amazon, no one would even think about buying online. You fast forward now, everybody's buying online. So it's being able to target those individuals and pushing them to make that decision you want them to make. The data has become now the heart of the technology industry.
Wow. I mean, that's been a great journey, Anand. Thank you for that. Let me get to Isaac now. So Isaac, tell us about strategic accounts at TaskUs. How do you identify them? How much of revenue, how much of percentage of revenue do they contribute to your overall revenue?
Thank you for that question. Now, in terms of the strategic account perspective for TaskUs, we go after high growth tech-enabled companies. Our goal as an organization is to build the world's largest tech-enabled service provider. With that being said, we look at the total addressable market of the companies that we're going after, look at their potential to outsource services to us, and even looking at the specialized services that they need us to support. Now, all of the strategic accounts that we're supporting actually contributes upwards of 70% of our total revenue.
So Isaac, therefore, planning and governance of these strategic accounts who are kind of contributing more than 75% of the revenue is the most critical piece of your business. So how do you manage to make this shift into digital account planning? And how is that account planning inside your Salesforce helping today?
No, and I think, let me give you a little bit of a background there so that it provides full context of the challenge that we were trying to address.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
The first thing that you have to remember is that when you land an account, that's the tip of the iceberg. That's even if you're getting X number of headcount from that particular account, typically you're only getting a taste of what's available in that entire space. So once you put them into the organization, it's very important that you start mapping out and understanding what else is available for that account. At the beginning, a lot of this were paper exercises wherein our account managers or client services would just like write down the first person that they meet, and when they meet at the when they meet a new person, they log a meeting in Salesforce and just remember and add this particular contact. But that lives in an ether once you put it there, because it's not utilized and it's no longer, it's not easy to remember that, oh, I met this particular person from this particular department, considering the amount of meetings that you're having with them. So it was very clear to us that we needed to have a more strategic approach at mapping out an organization when we're dealing with all of this accounts. And not just that, it was also important for us to understand what is the market that they're representing? How much are they outsourcing that's not being outsourced to us? How much of that is today being done internally? And at the same time, understanding who are the decision makers across these different functions and different line of businesses within that particular company was very critical to us. Now, in the absence of a digital platform that allowed us to consolidate, aggregate, and represent that visually for our organization, it was very difficult. Which is why when we started engaging with DemandFarm, it was very important for us to really understand what was the full scope of capability within DemandFarm and understand how we can increase the adoption of our organization and make sure that everyone was fully enabled to plot their plans, all their account plans in that particular platform. And not to mention, we've partnered with DemandFarm to figure out better ways to do things and make sure that they also understand that because we are the users of the platform and because we are in the front line of using all of these tools, they've been very receptive in receiving the feedback and the requests and the changes that we are asking for in order for us to be able to make it work in the front line.
Thank you, Isaac, for that. So coming back to Anand now. So I remember, Anand, so relationship maps and relationship intelligence were one of the first priority items in your journey of digital transformation of CAM. So what was the thought behind that?
As we started thinking about CRM, customer relationship management, but people buy from people, not from companies. I think that's as we started our journey, the first thing we looked at, do we know the people? Do we know the individuals who are going to make the decisions? Do we have the relationships? So the first step was, okay, how do we start to capture and bring that information about who's who into our ecosystem, so we know who to go after, who to target, and how to target them? So as part of our journey, we want to do automated account planning, which is driven by data, driven by AI. But the first step is, if you don't know who you're talking to, you're not going to get anywhere. So we started looking at, okay, first step, how do we start to capture those contact details? How do we start to understand what level of influence they have, what buying power they have, what their role is, so we can have those conversations at the right level, which allows us then to get to the customer side, but also build a relationship. Again, relationship is a critical part of doing business. Again, I use the word people buy from people, and that's a key element. So the first step for us was, let's get our contacts. Let's understand who they are. Again, that wasn't an easy journey. I think most people who have gone through this will find that getting contact data is never easy. So it's always a carrot and stick approach as well. Carrot and says, if you tell me who you're working with, we will tell you all their digital journey, their digital bio, what their interests are. So all of a sudden, you have your contact here, all that digital buying information here, and now as a salesperson, I virtually know who I'm talking to even before I met them. I also know what they're interested in buying, so I can target and tailor my product towards that. So that was our first part of the journey, because that is key. And then the second part of that is now, how do we now create a dynamic, interactive account plan to sit up on top of that, which guides the sales organization on what they should be doing next.
A follow-up on that, Anand. So how did that pan out? How was the journey? What were the challenges?
Now that we've got our sales organization really understanding the need to provide contacts and we give them the carrot back, the second part of that was trust. In an enterprise corporation, you put your contact in the system, that contact's available to everybody. So the second part is really making sure that everybody trusted each other around how we're going to use that data. So that was the second foundation, and we got that in place. Now that we've done that, the evolution now is, how do we take all the rich dynamic data we have on that contact? So as I mentioned earlier, what their marketing history looks like, what their digital journey looks like, what their interests are, historical revenue, etc., and build a dynamic, real life living account plan. Where if you go back 20 years, it was always a whatever you're keen at the time, give yourself 4 weeks, decide a date. We keep the account plan now becomes a living, breathing document that's self-updated, self-automated, and it becomes like a virtual guide for the sales organization on what they should be doing next and when they should be following up. So it kind of becomes like a virtual assistant, I'll call it.
I've heard a lot about unique culture and values at TaskUs. Many of us have. Tell us what that culture is. Has it helped the sales team adopt technology faster at TaskUs?
Our culture has been our single differentiator when it comes to our people management, when it comes to people managing people in general. Our culture has always been in the forefront of why we do things. We want to make sure that whatever we do, we're doing it because it's better for the people who are doing the work. That's basically the ethos of all of that. So a big portion of why we are thinking about account planning in the first place is because it's the best way to make it easier for all of our account managers to also manage the accounts that they're handling. So at the end of the day, because that's already part of our ethos, people recognize that when we put solutions in front of them, they're actual solutions. They're not there because they need it's just another tick in the box that you're supposed to be doing. They know it's there because it's helping them to grow their business, to manage their accounts, and to make sure that they're addressing all of the things that they need. And you made the point earlier about looking at the forest and not just the trees. I think for us, and I've used the term frontline, for a lot of people who are in the frontline, the first thing that they would see are what is in front of them. Whatever is in front of them is exactly what they would see. Now, plotting our accounts within DemandFarm allows us to take a step back and see exactly what we're not seeing because it's not in front of us. So I think that's how we view it. And because part of our recognition as a culture, in our culture, is to understand things, learn, continuously improve, and always strive for excellence. All of these things is embedded in our core value and how important it is. And because that's just how we are as an organization, opting into a platform that helps us become, strive for excellence, helps us continuously strive for improvement as well, and self-improvement for that matter. It makes it even more fun for us to do our job and continuously work with our clients in making a significant impact and not just scaling the organization, but also impacting customer experience.
There's one last interesting question I have for both of you. So how do you see future of account planning, especially in the digital transformation context? Anand first.
Account planning, where it started off, where it is now is miles apart. Started off as I call it a form that you filled in and you used it as a benchmark. Now it's as I mentioned, it's a living, breathing, dynamic document. So it's guiding you what's happening. Where it's going is it's going to tell you what you should be doing next. That's where we want to take it. And I'll give you a great example. If one of my customers' contacts have downloaded a brochure on one of our printing devices, that should change my account plan to show I've got a senior person at my customer site who's interested in printers. Now you think about where that goes, that becomes a lead. So my account plan all of a sudden has a lead in it, which also can be an opportunity. So rather than the sales organization going getting the leads, then the data and the digital journey is driving the next steps. That's where we want to go with this, and that's where I think it's going. So I think if I say the word account plan AI, 10 years time, that's where I see it. Where I kind of see it being called account plan AI. I see it being data driven, digitally driven, but also account plans today are very focused within the four walls of a company. It's going to become more collaborative with the customer, because as a vendor, a manufacturer, we have a goal. Our customers have a goal. If we can accomplish those goals together, we're both successful. So the account plan becomes a joint collaboration plan that we both work together, so we can help each other. So that's where I see it going. So it's kind of an evolution.
Right. Yeah. So I think for quite some time now, we've been talking about co-creation. So we've talked about account planning itself is supposed to be a co-creation with your customers. I guess I don't think those days are far away. I think it's possible, both with the intent and the technology that's available today. Yeah.
But I think, just to add on to it, I really like that co-creation. It's co-creation, but it's co-collaboration, where you both have an open, mutual, respectful relationship where you can be transparent and honest with each other as well. That's where a collaborative account plan becomes a valuable asset for both companies.
Thanks, Anand. How about Isaac answering the future?
Let me say this and be a little bit bold about this statement. If you're not performing any sort of in any shape or form account planning, there's no place for you in the future. It's going to be impossible for you to track a journey wherein you are successful if you don't have a cadence around account planning. So it's all about starting to understand your clients and your client organization. You are, by definition, is an extension of your client. So ensuring the success of your client starts with understanding their organization and their requirements and their challenges. And that's the bread and butter of account planning. The reason why you're performing an activity of mapping out an organization, the reason why you're performing an activity of understanding all of these different challenges and making sure that you're laying them out in a plan is because you want to be able to provide solutions for that. And being a solution provider and a partner with your client allows them to grow, and this allows you to grow with them. So at the end of the day, the activity on account planning is not just a critical aspect of your job or of your business. I would say it's mission critical in general.
Right. Thank you, gentlemen. It was very interesting talking to both of you. What I now firmly believe, based on this discussion, is that the future of account management is digital, is data-driven, and it has to be collaborative. And we heard both of them, collaboration not only internally, but even collaboration with the customers. And the second thing that we saw was, Anand and Isaac both mentioned it very interestingly, that any organization can progressively activate their sales processes and methodologies based on the readiness, business priorities, and the available sales tech environment. So the whole idea, I guess, is that let's imagine this new world of strategic account management in the digital way. And let's imagine that, and let's plan to shift now. Thank you so much, Anand and Isaac, for this time.